here.
I don't know.
Right, I do.
I'm there.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I guess we're opening. Independent Producers Organization live showcase
Yes.
from Portland Community Media in Portland, Oregon. We have a guest on the line, Paul Nuttman, right? Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul?
Yes, I'm a retired physicist. I originally from Chicago, from the city itself. I've lived in many places around the country, and before I moved to Montana, I live in Bozeman, Montana. But before here, I moved here in 2005. I retired here. I lived in Southern California for 10 years in Redondo Beach, and I'm a PhD physicist, but I might as well also have a PhD in immigration facts and policies from just being down there and being surrounded by all the phenomenon.
Can't hear him.
We need it up.
Turn the volume up, Tim.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah.
I guess we're gotta take a little bit of whatever to get where we can hear each other.
Little 10 to 11 care right now for a minute. You know, we just unfortunately little technical problem. Okay, Tim, you ready to go? Going on. It's going on, Paul.
I really can't understand what
I can't hear him.
No,
We can't hear him at all.
I think Jim is working with it.
He's working on it.
Our director is
Tim,
working on it.
we can keep Richard and I can talk, and then maybe you can talk to Paul and get it squared away, and then we'll come back to how's that?
It's best to just keep talking.
Just keep talking? Okay, good.
Okay. I want to make a preference to the whole thing about immigration. The thing that everyone needs to realize is that the human race is literally expanding exponentially all the time right now. There's just nothing slowing it down. And all these people want to come to the United States. They know we have everything. They know if they come here, they can get on welfare. They can bring in the rest of their families. They just have every advantage. And there is no end to the problems that they really can cause. And it's a huge amount to the taxpayer that we have to pay. Each one of these people has to be processed individually, has to go through screenings, and then they still end up in court. It goes on and on. All that is a huge expense for all taxpayers. And you have to think about that, realize there's no end to all these people. And now we have the people coming up from South America. Picture in the paper the other day, they're just stopped at the wall. I didn't know there was a wall by the ocean, but that's probably a good place to have one. And they are trying to come over into the United States. At that point, there is no reason. I want to make a point here. It says America is a nation of immigrants. It's a flat statistical falsehood. The vast majority of Americans were born here. There's nothing to go against this. Why does this fact mean that so many are descending from immigration categories to take when we don't have an obligation to take them? There is no obligation for us to take them because it's an immigration obligation of any kind. We're no longer immigrants. We keep saying that because people want to make it easier for us to accept immigrants, but that isn't necessarily the way it's going to work. Do we have anybody back on the line now? Do we?
Yeah, Paul hears us.
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit better, but
But he's
still pretty muddy.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm okay with hearing him.
Anyway, I heard your discussion about this phrase "nation of immigrants," and
Okay.
I think you're saying we're not really a nation of immigrants. If that's what you said, well, I agree with you.
Okay.
The nation was formed by settlers or colonists, which is totally different from immigrants. Immigrants are people who come from somewhere else and join an existing country. But the colonists and the settlers, they made a country, and that's a totally different thing. So I agree with you. And the basis, the basis for the question is, what is the purpose of the United States? Well, it's stated in the preamble to the Constitution. I'm going to read you the preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The point is, it's to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That's the reason the country exists. It's to benefit us citizens, and not to be a place where the woes of the world, people with problems elsewhere can come and solve their problems. That's not the purpose of the U.S. And immigration is just a public policy. There's no right to immigrate to the United States. And so it's up to us. It's up to the country. It's a function of being a country that we decide who gets to come here, if anyone. So I agree with what Richard said, at least as best I could understand it.
You know, Paul, one of the problems is all these people that want the immigrants to come in don't have the least idea of what it's all about. They just have no idea what's really going on.
I can't understand what you just said. I literally can't make out the words.
Paul, how do you hear me? Is my volume scratchy, or can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now saying, "Can you hear me?" Yeah.
Yeah, no problem as far as my voice over there.
I didn't understand that.
Okay, why don't we change the mic? We'll try my mic. I got another. We've got another mic here. We'll try this.
It has nothing to do with the microphone.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Okay.
Probably he's calling out. Is he calling out on a cell phone?
There's also a huge roaring noise,
might
like
be.
you have a train running by right by your studio.
Yeah, there's a train right by. That's probably about as good as we're going to get it, really.
We've had some of the best communication on cell phones, so I don't have a problem with using a cell phone. Landlines are great, but cell phones are doing pretty good
He's
too.
on cell phone right now. Is that what it is?
I assume he has a cell phone.
Are you on the cell phone, Paul?
I'm on a landline. I'm not sure if you asked me a question or not. I'm on a landline.
All right. Okay. I got you.
Okay,
So just keep talking.
turn him up just a little
keep
bit.
talking. Just keep talking.
Okay. Well, this is.
Any other point you want to make?
This is 10,000 words that he
10,000
wrote.
words they wrote on that?
And it's
That's quite a bit.
Great stuff.
Good stuff.
And it talks about how when they come in, they increase, they make it harder for people that were living there to continue living there because they raise the cost of housing. More people create. That's one of the problems they have here right in Portland.
Yeah.
It's just more people, too many people here. And you know, I never hear any of these people saying, well, we're going to go back home and practice birth control, or we're going to do something.
Well, no, all of a sudden now I can hear you perfectly clearly.
Oh, really? Thank you. Thanks, Tim. Well, you clearly. He said he hears you not real
Okay.
well.
Yeah, okay.
The background roar is gone.
Good.
You go ahead now.
And we hear you real well. Go right on.
I went over your article 10,000 words on good information. But I still want you to go ahead and
Tell me to share it. Yeah, give us
talk about more of it. Go ahead.
Well, that article is a long piece, so I'm not really going to get into that. I mean, if you have any questions about it based on that would be good. When I was in Southern California and exposed to all the phenomenon of mass immigration, and by the way, I don't just mean illegal immigration. I mean immigration more generally.
Right.
Illegal immigration is not the problem. Immigration is the problem. Anyway, so I wrote down over the years and seeing all that was going on. I wrote down a list of effects of what immigration is doing to the country. So it's just a short summary. So I'll just read the list, then you can jump off from some of these points perhaps. It's 7 different points. 1, the flood of immigrants drives wages and living conditions in our central cities toward those of the third world.
Yeah.
2, the influx imposes both sprawl and gridlock on our metropolitan areas. 3, immigrant families needing services overwhelm our schools, taxpayer-funded healthcare facilities, and other public agencies. 4, those requiring services don't assimilate and instead expect to be served in their native languages. 5, American civic culture phrase as each ethnic group establishes its own grievance lobby and pushes for preferences. I'm thinking of things like the National Council of La Raza and things like that. Number 6, illegal aliens bring us fearsome diseases such as tuberculosis in new drug-resistant forms and Chagas disease. Number 7, shortages of water and other resources loom, especially in immigration blitz to California. Now that's a list of 7, impacts.
Wow.
Quite evident impacts of immigration, and only number 6 is particular to illegal aliens, because illegal aliens, those who cross the border, don't get any kind of inspection for health conditions, whereas people who come here from a foreign country on a visa, they've had at least some look at their health condition. And some illegal aliens come here on visas and overstay, and so they had they came in a reasonable way. But the ones who crash the border, they bring us diseases. And tuberculosis is a particular pernicious one. Tuberculosis has largely been conquered in the United States, but now you have people who come in with strains of tuberculosis that the drugs don't work to cure, except very expensive drugs. It can cost $250,000 to treat one person's tuberculosis case.
Wow.
And it's these people, they get better when they don't keep taking the drug like they're supposed to, and so they don't actually get cured, and so it often fails too. So that's just one example of what immigration is doing to the country.
See, I wanted to bring out a point about you said Southern California is an example of the environmental reasons. Were you referring to the housing or the driving congestion?
Yeah, I think more the driving than the housing, although I gather there are parts of the greater Los Angeles area where the housing conditions are pretty bad. People living in garages and and the like, just people packed in. I think you're in Portland. I mean, traffic. I've been in Portland. Traffic was pretty fierce in Portland, I think, and it's not all due to immigration, but immigration is part of it. Just packing in more people.
Wow.
Okay. One of the things these students that come in are going to hold back everybody. They don't have our language. They're slower to grasp everything that the teachers are trying to teach. It's putting someone from a high speed into a high speed situation, and then they're going to hold back other students. And
that's happening around the country with especially these refugees, so-called, as they come in and they're dumped on small cities around the country. And they're a huge burden on the schools. So So the American-born, native-born students are shortchanged. Extra expenses involved in teaching, teaching English as a foreign language to the students who need it. So that that's a burden on us. Resources that could be used for something else are teaching people who came here and don't know our language. And the teachers they devote more time to the slow students. Immigration. People talk about immigration as an issue. Well, this is an example to me. Immigration is way bigger than an issue because it affects almost every aspect of our national life. So you name anything. You name housing. You name education. You talk about taxes. You talk about the natural environment. I don't know if I already said traffic, but mass immigration is affecting all of that, and it's totally a public policy. It's not an act of nature. It's something that it's really up to us to decide. How do we want our country? How do we want to live? How do we want our country to be? But people don't. At least people in public office seem to think that we can't do anything about it.
There's something that we haven't even brought up, and that is when these people come up, they want to get an interview. And quite frankly, if they're determined to get in the United States, they are going to lie about the conditions that they left. They're going to say they were horrible, they were treated terribly, and all that. And I'm thinking that the first patriots in this country 300-400 years ago had to fight off everybody. The king in England sent the British over here to fight us. There were people already here, natives here. They had to fight. And so Americans have had to fight from the very beginning. And these people just say, we'll just go on up to the United States. We won't have to worry about fighting. In other words, they don't stay there and fight for their own rights. They always come up with this, whatever it is that thinks it gives them the right to come up here and impose on us.
One aspect of that is that Mexico is a corrupt country, and Mexico has a lot of positives going for it. It's got a lot of resources. It's got expansion, access to 2 oceans, a lot of natural riches, but it's a corrupt country, and the Mexican government, their authorities, are just perfectly happy to have all the unhappy Mexicans go to the U.S., and it's like a relief valve instead of those Mexicans staying in Mexico and demanding or forcing a change. Now, something you said about you were actually talking about, I suppose, this caravan or things like that, these refugees. Yeah, this is fraudulent stuff. The purpose of refugee programs is to rescue the fairly small number of people worldwide who are victims of their own government. Lethal discrimination by their own government. But most of these people are they just want a better deal economically. They'd rather live in the United States than in some hovel in Mexico or Central America. And you can understand why you'd want to do that, but that's no reason that we have to take them in. I mean, there are something like 5 billion people in the world who are poorer than the average Mexican. And if the criterion was, you want a better life, at least hundreds of millions of those people would come to the United States, maybe more than 1 billion, and ruin the United States in the process. Change the United States from a place that you want to go to just as miserable as the third world is now. Anyway, in this caravan, these people are from south of Mexico, from the country south of Mexico, in Guatemala and Honduras and maybe El Salvador. And they transited Mexico. Well, Mexico is a country that does take in refugees. And the principle is that if you're really in harm's way, if you're really endangered by your own government, then you escape to another country and you settle in the first country that will take that. That's the first country that's safe. Well, Mexico was that safe country for them. But no, they come on to the United States. which is really a proof that it's not really desperation. It's just wanting a better economic situation.
Yeah.
As Ann Coulter, do you know who Ann Coulter is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Her book Adios America, which came out in 2015, I think. Yeah, I think it was 2015. Yeah, and Trump read it apparently, which was significant for his campaign. But anyway, there's a favorite quote of hers from her book. It's a favorite quote of mine that was written by her, and it is 100% of refugee and asylum claims are either obvious frauds or frauds that haven't been proved yet. The only result of our asylum policies is that we get good liars, which I think is about right.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if well, one of the things I've learned I've been involved with this subject for like close to 20 years, and I'm not even intrinsically interested in it. I'd rather be thinking about physics, but
Yes.
I've never been able to walk away from it. I write for a website called vdare.com, and I go to national meetings. I work on legislation here in Montana. I phone Congress, all of these activities. And one of the most important thing I've learned is how little most Americans know about the subject of immigration. It's just the slogans. We're a nation of immigrants. The Statue of Liberty invites people to come here. No, it doesn't. The Statue of Liberty has nothing to do with immigration. Anyway, so a quick quiz for you guys. I don't know, is it just Richard there, or are there several of you?
Well, that's me. I was listening. I was getting ready to ask you some questions, if you didn't mind.
Yeah, but let me first ask one question. Roughly, how many green cards are issued? Do you know what a green card is?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so roughly, how many green cards are issued every year?
Wow.
Are they issued for agricultural purposes?
No, just green
Well,
cards.
maybe you don't know what a green card. A green card is what you need to be a lawful permanent resident. That's a legal immigrant, and there's no restriction on what you could work on or anything. That means you're allowed to come here and stay as long as you want.
Right.
As long as you don't break the law. You could be deported if you break the law at a severe enough level. Anyway, so we're just talking about legal immigrants.
Right,
So,
okay.
How many legal immigrants do we take in a year? Round number.
I don't have any idea. Any ideas, Paul?
I know. I'm asking you.
Oh, us. I'd say what? Maybe about green card. That's all over the world too. What? Maybe a year? Maybe a million?
You hit it right on. Yeah, 1 million. Right? I've had people guess, 20,000 or 50,000. No, it's 1 million a year.
$1 million a year.
And that's
Wow.
in addition to the illegal immigration, which can run at several 100,000 a year. It's hard to count them.
In this country.
A year. Wow.
So and most of the people coming in now, even coming in legally, they're poor people for the most part. We're importing poverty, and they are heavy users of welfare.
Right.
And they inflict all the burdens that you talked about on our schools, their children, so forth. Anyway, so I've got other questions I could throw at you as examples.
Right.
But if you have questions for me, that's better actually.
Okay. Well, some of the things I was wanting to share with you was that, like, look at the criteria of Mexico, for instance. Okay,
Right.
as comparing it with our country. In Mexico, you are required to speak Spanish. It's Spanish as a first language. Over here, English is a second language. Okay, how did we get into that situation? You got me? That's a major concern. And then I asked myself, what segment of our population basically took that and made it policy? Any ideas? Any background that you can give us on that?
I share your concern. Bilingual education was coming into use in the public schools in probably the late 1970s or early 1980s, and then there's been pushback against it, including a ballot measure in California that passed in, I think it was 1996. It was to make English the primary language in schools, or to make bilingual education not mandatory.
But that's a problem. But that's a problem,
It's absolutely
See, that's a problem.
The problem is manifold. It's an expensive problem because then you got to do all this translating.
Right.
And translations can be loused up, and then you're liable for having loused it up. Especially critical in cases of health care. There's an executive order that Bill Clinton issued last summer he was president, so 2000. Executive order, I think, EO 13166, that said that if you're an entity, a public agency or a hospital, any entity that takes federal money of any sort, like if you're a hospital, you have Medicare patients, then you are obligated to serve people who come to you for services, no matter what language they speak, and you got to provide translations.
Wow.
And George W. Bush could have undone that. So it was an executive order. He didn't. Of course, Obama didn't, and Trump so far hasn't done that. In any event, it's incredibly expensive for a hospital or a medical office to deal with that, and then be liable if the translator loused up. My answer to your question is no. I don't know exactly how it started, but it is a big problem.
Let me tell you where I'm going with on this piece. My point is that when we sort of first noticed, like you said, they started taking in a few, and then we politically, remember now, politically, we granted citizenship to two batches, two areas, one under Reagan and one under Bush. Remember that one?
No, I think you're probably a bit confused on the facts there. You're probably talking about the 1986 amnesty that was under Reagan.
Okay, Reagan.
But, well, no, and which Bush are you talking about?
Well, I was just saying, it looked like we did it twice, did we not?
Well, no, we've done it 7 times.
7 times?
Okay.
Oh, man, you just blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it was twice. Now, the point where I'm going with this, every time we did this, we also accommodated our environment with that. And all of a sudden, we had the Spanish. You had to speak Spanish to get on the bus. They had signs up there that said, you know what I mean. We helped develop, if you will, communities where folks were basically just, they were here. They were enjoying themselves. They were saying, gee whiz. And now today, we got areas in California and other areas that, in all due respect, those folks who are undocumented or whatever are asking folks, when you come into the area, if you don't speak Spanish, you get to get out of here. I mean, we just,
Wow.
It's a mess.
What you're talking about is that there's been enough influx from Spanish-speaking areas, Spanish-speaking countries, Mexico and Central America, that now there are huge enclaves where you could be living in America and live your whole life and not need to know English at all because there's such a large
and that's the problem.
Population of Spanish speakers that all aspects of life are covered. The stores you can go to and the schools and everything. So and that's different from immigration a century earlier, because back then it was from Europe, and many different languages were coming in. German, Polish, Dutch, French, and Italian.
But they had to speak and comprehend English in order to survive.
The important point was they had to, because there weren't enough of any one language group that they could form an enclave. So they all had to agree to speak the common language, which was English. And now that's different now because of the huge influx of Spanish speakers. So, excuse me.
But now that we recognize it, Paul, now that we recognize we got this issue, what the heck are we doing about it? Other than just talk.
There are a couple of organizations. Pro English is the one I know best. Pro English, it's proenglish.org. Is devoted to trying to get the U.S. to have English as an official language, which it's not the same as saying English only. It's the same. What it's saying is that only English will be used in government business, in legislation and publications by the government and so forth. And it's up to people to accommodate that instead of publishing things, and especially voting materials in 12 different languages. No, we would do away with that. Anyway, so pro-English is involved in trying to get legislation through Congress. They've been trying for probably 20 years. Right now, there's a bill in Congress sponsored by Steve King of Iowa, and it has a bunch of co-sponsors, but it's not enough to get it moving. And pro-English has also been working for these many years to undo that horrible thing that Bill Clinton did, Executive Order 13166, which imposed the requirement of providing translators to any comer of user of the service if the entity runs partly on federal funds. Okay, go ahead. Excuse me.
I always thought it was to do with getting more Democrats registered whenever Obama and Clinton let more in.
Well, I think you're right. I
No,
think
for sure,
I think that's a
Obama.
part of not just the English, but I think it's a part of just immigration in general. The Democrats want poor people coming in because poor people are their clients.
Well, it's quite evident that, like you said, if you're going to try to do this just for government, to just say English only in government aspect of it, but we got over 100, let's put it this way, we got over 100 cultures or so.
Could be 160 in New York.
And they're going to schools, and if you will, and they want to speak that language. So we got all these tribes. So so my point is that, the point I'm making is that the U.S., if you will, the 13 colonies and whatever, it was English. Even though there were cultures there then, but you had to speak the English, and the comprehension was part and parcel of our educational system.
Right.
But you mix it; it's like mixing oil and water. You can't tell one group.
Good comparison.
Yeah, you can't tell one group. Well, hey, if you work for government, you got to speak English. But if you don't work for government, you can speak your own language, and then that's confusing. That's totally confusing. You ought to do it.
Would you really want to deny people the right to speak their language of their
we were already doing it, Paul. I mean, I'm Creole. I mean, when I was born and raised in Louisiana. I mean, don't get me wrong. We spoke at home, and this, that, and the other, and the old folks spoke. We communicated. But when I went to school, I had to speak English, and I had to comprehend in order to survive.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be.
Not keeping people from speaking whatever language they want in their own private pursuits, but if they're going to interact with the government, including voting, they should be fluent in English.
But think about this, Paul. But think about this. Okay, that's what was happening when I was going to school. Okay, now, rather than saying, okay, fine, I'm going to force my Creole when I went to school. Okay. It was kind of like it wasn't allowed because you had to speak English.
That's right.
See what I'm saying? So it wasn't. There was a limitation. If I was at home in a private kind of a setting, for grandma or whatever, I can do that. But when I actually get out into the public aspect of it, I spoke English. You see what I'm saying? So when they started mixing this deal up, basically giving everybody the tribe, and that's the other thing we've done. We've educated all these cultures. Yeah, all these cultures, right. And we've also said, okay, English as a second language, meaning you can still continue to speak your own language.
At home?
No, now out on the streets, really, because it's English as a second language. So now we right up front with you, and it's not their fault, it's our fault. I'm just saying it's the folks who initiated this policy to begin with that screwed it up. We can't blame just the people who did it. I mean, anybody's going to say, yes, I want my culture to speak. I mean, whether you're Russian or this, that, and the other, you'll speak the language. If you got, hey, speak Russian. Okay. And then when you go to Costco or something like that, and everybody's speaking different language, I don't know whether or not they're talking about me in a negative way or what, this or that. You got my point? My point is that speak English.
Well, I think that's a good point. I'll put it in other words. You begin to start feeling like a stranger in your own country.
Yes.
Right. But that's because we've taken in so many immigrants. If the immigration were running at let's say 50,000 a year, it just wouldn't have become such a big presence, and especially if you didn't let it be so much from one language area, that is Spanish. But yeah, I agree. In the Los Angeles public schools, the LA Unified School District, I think they have to contend with something like 120 or 160 different native languages.
That's
now,
right.
They're not teaching in all of those.
That's
but,
right.
they're making accommodations for a bunch of them in some ways.
That's
anyway,
right.
But again, it has to do with the numbers.
Yes. And you got to think about this too. There's sort of an encouragement that let's say, for instance, a kid goes to school, picks up a degree, you got me?
Okay.
And then I want to identify with my culture. Then guess what? I basically now I'm competing with the languages depending upon the area. So I'll either pick my own area up, and then I'll develop that area as my culture, et cetera, et cetera. You got me? And then we're wearing the garbs now.
No. That point, I don't. It's not that I disagree. I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is that because we're not promoting English and comprehension in the school system, and because it's English as a second language aspect of it, we're not creating, if you will, the country that we all knew before. Mm-hmm. These folks are graduating with the idea that it's English as a second language. It's English as a second language. So why should I be motivated to speak English anywhere?
Well, so you can come
yeah,
on this program.
I think I generally agree with you, but and there's a point here that we haven't stated, which is that actually there's now a significant fraction of native-born Americans. That is, if you're born here, you're a citizen by birth. Native-born Americans whose first language is not English because, well, they grow up in these enclaves, and the first language is Spanish. Say, well, that's their first language, even though they were born in the United States. So. So yeah, I mean it leads to a balkanization of the country. And how can you govern a country? How can a country even exist if people can't even understand each other when they talk?
Yeah.
Well, that's where the divide comes in. That's why we're having the problems now.
That's right.
That's one part of the problem. That's one.
That's a major part. Trust me, that's a major part.
That's important.
I'll give you a good example of that locally. For instance, we got the whole issue with the sanctuary cities.
Yeah.
Okay, sanctuary cities.
Yeah,
well,
that's a big deal.
In all due respect, the Mexican or Spanish speaking, they figure this is my area. And then here, and in all due respect, and then a lot of going to poor areas in many ways. Then you have areas where there's a heavier concentration of African Americans. Well, African Americans feel threatened too. They say, "What about me?" And now the word now is gentrification. So now they're being ran out of their own community.
I keep seeing that.
I'm saying that's happening, and people get angry.
Yeah,
people get very angry.
There may be some immigration tie-in there, but I don't think that's a real strong one.
It's strong here. Because people are losing jobs, and guess what? The young people now are going to the institution and getting in the criminal justice system because they don't have any jobs.
No.
Anyway, so you
okay,
mentioned sanctuary cities. Are you aware of the Oregonians for immigration reform are trying to put a measure on the Oregon ballot?
Yes.
You are.
I've interviewed them.
What's
yeah.
that?
The sanctuary city state aspect of it.
Oh yeah,
they're trying to repeal it.
I'm embarrassed that our city is sanctuary city.
And I'll be right up front with you. We went through the same process with licensing, and the legislature approved licensing, if you will, for in all due respect, it was focused on Latinos or basically and whatever, and they repealed that. And I'm saying the same.
I'm quite aware of that. In fact, I contributed money to that.
There you go.
I know the people at Oregonians for Immigration Reform. That was a big triumph. Your idiot legislature.
They were on my show. They were on my show. I interviewed them 2 or 3 times. First, they started out calling them racist. Got me? But that wasn't official. The IE was basically talking to what we're talking about right now.
So did you talk to Cynthia Kendall? Or
yes.
Or?
Cynthia was on the show about maybe 3 weeks ago. Yeah, so I've had her on the show, and so I think that's going to be repealed. I think the state of Oregon is going to repeal that piece, not in a negative way. And I understand where I'm coming from. We got to get back and be honest with people.
And
just be upfront and honest. I'm just saying we created the problem.
Follow the law.
We created the problem. We got to change it. This is not racism and this, that, and the other. This country is built on an English as a first language because we got so many cultures. We can't.
It wouldn't be the state that repeals it. It would be Oregon voters. I could be quite confident that most of the people in your state government well, if this reaches the ballot, they'll do everything they can to defeat it. So anyone listening who's in Oregon, you want to go to the Stop Oregon Sanctuaries webpage and get the petitions that you can sign. If you're an Oregon registered voter, sign the petition and collect signatures from other Oregon registered voters. It still needs to get on the ballot before people can actually vote on it.
But trust me, Paul, a lot of people who let's say are living in various neighborhoods, if you will, and in all due respect, they're being told that, look, this is a sanctuary city. Will you agree? They will say yes, and they disagree, meaning that they vote just the opposite. That's what happened to the licensing people. You can find people that will tell you up front, no, I think they should have their license, you know what I mean? But when the vote came out, at the end of the day, it repealed it. And then we went on about our living. And those folks who didn't have the license had to do something else.
Okay.
And they assimilated. And I'm thinking the same thing here.
I think your idiot legislature has now turned around and done it again in a way that can't be undone.
They did.
Yep.
And we've gone through the process again. So it's going to be very interesting here in Oregon, because a lot of Mexicans, if you will, that are Mexican Americans that were given amnesty and aspect of it, they don't like the idea, if you will, of Sanctuary City. Because guess what? Excuse the French, they all look alike, right? You got me? And they get harassed and this, that, and the other. And I mean, I've gone through that process to a certain degree, but the bottom line is that that's what we are. We just have to get it back together. And we're talking about it like now. I mean, I talk about it at my show, and I'm right here. I'm running for office. And that's one of the issues that I'm bringing on the table here in Multnomah County. I'm running for county commissioner.
That's right. We better make sure we said that. Bruce Broussard.
Yeah,
Multnomah
Paul.
County Commissioner,
Right.
District 2.
I'm running for county commissioner, Paul, in District Number 2. Here in Portland, Oregon, the most liberal area in our state. Okay, you got me? And right in front with you, I'm well received in all respect. And then the county identifies with the poor folks, okay, with the poor people. And my platform talks about the issues we're talking about right now. Right now. And I'm throwing it right out there, and I'm talking to people, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And some people will say, well, gee whiz, it's conservative. But no, they can't say that about me, because I've built housing. I've done a senior citizen complex, and across the board. I've spoken to a number of Mexicans who are Mexican Americans who basically said, Bruce, the reason why I don't say too much of anything, a lot of it's family. We're Catholics. We're very community oriented. But the bottom line, we're going to vote for that appeal. But I can't publicly tell you right now, raise my hand up and say bang, because hey, they're still my people. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting.
When you vote for the appeal, you're talking about the sanctuary.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but again, it's got to get on the ballot.
It's on the ballot.
No.
I'm just saying they're going to get the numbers.
Well, it's hard to get enough signatures. It's expensive. So anyone listening to this who cares about the future, basically, any Oregon registered voter wants to sign the petition to get it on the sign the official petition. You go to the Stop Oregon Sanctuaries webpage, sign the petition, help collect signatures from other registered voters. Nothing's going to happen unless it gets to the ballot.
I'm agreeing with you, but the biggest problem, Paul, in all due respect, is education, is communication.
Sure.
That's the biggest problem with the deal. People, because in all due respect, that's when the R word comes in, the race thing comes in. See, and I don't go that way. I basically let it know very up front. Look at how you do things in your country, as opposed to what my country is. You've come up here and you want the best, if you will. If it's a rich and poor type situation over there, maybe what we need to do is just take your money and go back there and win elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to. We haven't talked about Islam or anything, but I understand they are putting Sharia law back in some cities, back in the east United States. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I'm not certain of the status of things. Michigan would be the primary threat.
That's very bad.
But other places too. And I think that's certainly an ambition. And I'm in Montana. We had a law that our legislature passed, a bill that our legislature passed, but our dumb governor vetoed, a Democratic governor, that would have it would basically American law for American courts, and it would have prevented any injection of Sharia, Islamic law, in any court proceedings here in Montana. And the arguments made against the bill by the opponents were that, well, it's not a problem here, so why are we doing this? Well, look, if it's not a problem, why? If you don't have ambitions to do it, why would you care if there's such a law on the books? It won't affect anything if you didn't really want to do anything. But that sort of basic logic seemed to escape people. Anyway, so we did something, but then we have a Democrat for governor, and he vetoed it. And some other states are doing that sort of thing or attempting to.
Well,
and then there's another question I wanted to ask. Have you heard about this, at least one case, where this, illegal alien is really what it is, has kept coming back into the United States about 60 times. I don't have the exact it, but that's pretty close. Finally, they took him into federal court. Where do they go when they're deported? Maybe they're not going far enough into Mexico.
no, just go right back.
But
It depends. I think someone who's actually deported, or the official term is removed. Deportation is kind of a colloquialism. Removal, I think it actually, they fly them to, say, Mexico City. Now, there's something else called a return. If someone is apprehended right near the border, they can basically be taken back to the border and shoved across. And maybe that's some of what was happening in this case. I don't know. I may have heard of the case, but I don't know any details about it.
Then they would come right back again.
Oh yeah. We have even in Montana, we have illegal aliens in Montana.
Yep.
It's not a heavy concentration like you have in the West Coast, but we have them. And I've looked into the statistics by the put out by the U.S. Attorney for Montana, and I had the raw statistics for 2005 through 2012. I actually looked through all the cases myself, all the reports of convictions, pleas, most of them, and about 11% of the activity by our U.S. Attorney in Montana had to do with immigration, and mostly that was illegal reentry by a previously deported alien. So they were illegal aliens for the second or later time, and most of them served some prison time, and then were to be removed after that. In any event, crossing the border illegally without inspection, that is a crime. People will say it's just a civil offense. No, it's a crime. If you look in the U.S. Code, Title 8, Section 1325 of the U.S. Code, you can see it's as clear as a bell that if you cross the border illegally, entry without inspection, the first time, and you're caught and convicted, it's a misdemeanor. That's up to 6 months in the slammer. And if you're deported, but then you do it again, it's up to 2 years just for illegal reentry. And that law is enforced. It's not enforced enough, but it is enforced.
I think I'm in favor of more military down there guarding the border. I know we have a border patrol, but they say, well, what, 3 border patrol guys for 50 miles? We need more military, and it's a good place to use our military right now. And I know Trump is trying, but they need to do more to keep people out there they really don't want in here now.
Well, I agree with that, and I don't know really what any arguments are against it. I mean, there's something called the Posse Comitatus Act, which prevents the use of U.S. military in domestic applications, but maybe that should be repealed. I mean, it's a law, and repeal it. I think, the first priority of the U.S. military should be to protect the country from invasion. But, excuse me. Border crashing is not the most critical thing in fighting illegal immigration. Passing E-Verify would be the most important, the most helpful thing, so that people who come here illegally or overstay visas illegally couldn't get jobs. And if you can't get jobs, you can't support yourself, you're not going to stay. So that is really a more effective thing than a perfect perfect border, because after all, a lot of illegal aliens come by overstaying visas.
But then that's a joke.
Protecting the border is important, but it's not the most.
That's a joke.
It's not the most significant thing.
But Paul, that's a joke that he verifies stuff. If in fact, if they really did it, we wouldn't be talking about this issue right now.
Oh,
Well, no,
Nobody goes to jail.
E-Verify is not a joke, but it's not mandatory at this point.
Yeah,
It
but,
needs
but
to
my
be
point is that the
mandatory.
only way you can stop it is somebody has to go to jail.
don't employers have to stop employees from
Oh,
working for them?
I think you're right about that. That if you had some prominent employers
Yes.
prominently do the perp walk,
Exactly.
that would be a very useful exhibition for everyone else.
Exactly. I mean, you know, we've heard talk show hosts nationally on talk show. Some of them on Fox and CNN and whatever. At a point in time, very important people would be employing maids and things of that nature. People cut their yard and this, that, and the other. And say, well, geez, okay, I'll let Pedro go. You know, and that kind of a deal, and nothing gets done.
Yeah, but I agree with you that it would be good to be putting some employers in the slammer. But if you also remove the incentive for people to come here illegally by making E-Verify part of the job hiring process, then a lot fewer people would come.
I'm agreeing with you, Paul, but I'm just saying, if you put the people in the slammer, and I guess what, the word will go around.
Oh, yeah.
The word will go around and say, now if it says, let's make sure we got an air fire situation. Bang, the neighbors will tell people on neighbors and this, that, and the other, and we'll get rid of it. But we're still playing games. People still make money off this illegal thing. That's big money, Paul, in this business. Big money.
E-Verify, Congress has to pass a law to make E-Verify universally mandatory. It's not something that Trump can do on his own or with an executive order. So I agree. You know, the answer is all of the above.
I hear you, buddy. It's a tough task situation. That's why we're supposed to. I remember that I heard the word. I remember we had this phrase about maybe 3 or 4 years. The last election, it was clean the swamp. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one? Remember that one, Paul? Clean the swamp.
We're still saying it's drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp.
Right.
But no one wants to step up front other than Trump. And everybody else wants to just sit back and say, well, when you get through getting it clean, when you get it drained, please call me back.
That's why we
I think there are some others, but it's not enough. You know, a number of congressmen I can think of, and a few senators are pretty good. Tom Cotton, senator from Arkansas, is terrific. Chuck Grassley from Iowa is pretty good. Senator Cruz from Texas, and then a number of congressmen. Steve King from Iowa, Lou Barletta from Pennsylvania, Dana Rohrabacher from California, Louis Gohmert from Texas, Jim Jordan from Ohio. These are drain the swamp type people, but there aren't enough of them.
That's right. You gotta have a majority vote because but it's still supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And people
Well,
need
the
to
thing
get.
is, the people don't pay enough attention.
And they don't want to run for office.
Right.
Well, I admire you for running, or being willing to run.
Thank
for
you,
office.
Paul.
That's putting yourself out.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm out. I will talk to anybody and lobby or whatever is necessary and argue. My point is that my thing is to educate and inform. That's what my show is all about.
Right.
And if a person disagrees with me, then come on the show and educate us.
He has a show on Sunday.
Yep.
At 4 o'clock or
4 to 5.
4 to 5, but that's here in Portland.
Oregon Voters Digest. If you want to check it out sometime, just Google it. It's on YouTube. And I interview all kinds of folks, Paul. And in fact, one of the women that's running for the same shot that I'm working for, she happens to be from Mexico, and she's running for county commissioner, like I am. There's 3 women and myself. Okay.
Right.
And the bottom line is that I told her that there's an issue here in regards as it impacts, if you will, this community over here. And it's the whole idea of undocumented workers. And then sometimes I put illegal. I put them both in the same category. And then I said, well, this is why. Now we need to solve that problem. We need to talk about it. But I would say the first step is that you, in all due respect, I know you've got your passion, i.e. for the sanctuary city aspect of it, but the fact of the matter is your passion, you can maybe get to the table to start with by basically taking the so-called gang members. And after we talk about gang members, these are youth that just haven't been educated, haven't been in the service or whatever. But I said, you take that, you separate that from the main source, then
Okay.
then we might be talking some business. We can negotiate, sit
Okay.
down and talk. But
Okay.
anyway,
We're getting near the end, Paul, and there's something I want to cover before we get through with this hour here. One of the things I cover is I tell women should get fixed, men should get fixed so they can't have children. They should get on the pill. There's so many things. Go to Planned Parenthood and find out stuff that works best for you. We need that global gag rule repealed so there could be more money spent worldwide to cut down on births. It's these births that are causing all the problems. There's just too many of them, and no one seems to think that that's important to take care of that. No one wants to face the word overpopulation, because that's what it's all about. It's overpopulation. The United States is full. It's full of people. It doesn't need any more.
Absolutely. I'm probably in a minority among the people who think about immigration. What
Yeah.
you just said is probably not held by a lot of people who are concerned about immigration. Probably aren't concerned about what you just said.
That's right.
However, I am. That's how I actually came to the subject originally.
right. I remember
I'm
that.
a physicist. I am interested in the natural resources depleting and pollution, and so yes, and it's the world. United States can't solve that problem for the world. Other countries are going to have to solve their own problems.
Paul, we're just about there, and I want to thank you very much for calling in. It worked out. I wish we had 100% perfect sound, but we just don't do it. And
It's been fine. It's been fine ever
thank you for
since you
calling
cleared it up.
in.
It's been a pleasure, Paul. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Broussard.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to send a link via Richard. I'll send a link to an article about sanctuary cities that
Good. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Bruce needs to read.
Yes, I'd like to do. I would.
I read all that stuff. All that stuff you send, I'm going to read.
Well, give it to me, and then I'll do another show with some of the same folks I know.
Okay, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Nice talk.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay, I
Night now.
guess we're going to put up our play times pretty quick here, so
How much time do we have? We have more. Oh, that is right
seconds, 10
there. Okay,
seconds.
there we go, right there.
There's the play times, and there
So
we
I
go.
got- I'm going to put that down so I can. Cause when we put it on. Oh, I want to make sure I put that down there. I need that.
He doesn't have a
There
camera.
we go.
on
Welcome back.
There. You'd say you're
Welcome
back
back.
on.
Oh, we're back on. Sorry about that, Richard. Well, it's election time, as you can see, boy. I tell you, it is it is election time because boy, people are running all over the place. I just happen to be running for office also too.
Right.
I'm running for Multnomah County, position number 2. That's a seat that's being vacated by Commissioner. She was an incumbent. She's been there for 2 terms. Loretta Smith.
Oh,
And yeah, she's gonna be running for city council. She's running for city council now.
that's right.
Yeah, she's running for city council right now. It's quite a race for the city anyway. That's quite a race over
Yeah,
there. I mean,
so
just
many
for
of-
Dan Salzman's seat for the city of Portland. And then naturally the county plays a role because the county and the city works together. And we've districtized the county as opposed to the city. The city has to run, I mean, everybody has to run citywide as
Okay.
compared to the district. And my district is the largest of the district within the county, and also it's probably when you're talking about the county, it's about poor folks.
What general area is?
General area, northeast Portland, sort of northeast.
All right.
Everything north of 84, the highway 84,
Okay.
all the way up to the river, basically the Columbia, right? And then east, west would be to the river over there. On that end of it, and then west would be to about 130th up in that area.
Oh,
You got me? So that whole corridor there,
Okay.
aspect of it. So when you start thinking about going to the Blazers and things of that nature, you're sitting right there. And then Broadway, all the way down, that kind of a deal. Broadway, and then to 130th or whatever, you go that way, and then that's where. But it's a large district. It's a large district, and it incorporates quite a bit of Portland, the city of Portland. Yeah, you know, and in fact, this district is basically the same size as the city. This district is the same size as the senatorial district.
Okay.
The senatorial district. There are two representative in the Senate district, and those 2 representative areas really incorporates district number 2 of the county. Isn't that
Okay.
something? So it's got two representative areas in the county. So it's quite a district, and the issues are huge. We got education issues, big
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Portland Public School is in that arena. Portland Public Schools in that area aspect of it. When you hear about the crime aspect of it, the minority community or the black community, I mean, you're talking about Sanctuary City.
Everything's getting squeezed.
It's all up in that area, and it takes quite leadership, if you will, to be able to communicate and relate to all the people that are there, and you have to. We're all there. Everybody's there. And now the new term is called institutional racism. You can use that and kind of say, well, that's the incorporation of trying to quote respond to every culture within that area. So they use the word institutional. A lot of times say institutional racism. A lot of times that word was a negative, but really, let's say institutional cultures.
All right.
I do it that way. You got me? You got all these folks, and everybody's got their different tribes and whatever.
Yeah, and everything, the more spread out it is, the
That's
weaker
right.
you are.
And at the end of the day, we all have to eat.
Yeah.
So when you start messing with somebody's eats,
That's right.
you got a problem, right? People are looking for a roof over their head, you know what I mean, and they want to stay dry, and they got
wanna go somewhere in
they
their
want to go
car
somewhere in their
and-
cars, and we got one of the biggest issues in the district, and that is the homeless problem. We
That's
have the largest homeless problem, and then we got the baby boomers that basically are here, that are retiring, if you will, and they're trying to hold their property together. Taxes are going up, and they're trying to maintain. And
We know
how can they maintain that dream that they worked so hard to get? You see, and we've got high rises going all over the place.
I just can't believe all the construction.
Oh, and then the kids and the grandkids are all riding bicycles, so they want the routes, right?
That's right.
So my point is, it's a very intense kind of issue. So it takes the right person. Now, and I'll just say that I've been around for quite some time. I've been in that area, associated with that area in many ways. I've been to Sandy, whatever, for 40 years.
Wow.
So I really got quite a background, and I've worked in a number of areas in whatever. It just so happened that's just happened to me, and I've run for office.
You've done a lot of stuff.
I've done it. It's been there. Then besides the shows, like with you and having my own show aspect of it, I've been discussing these issues, and I've been right in the middle of it to a certain degree. So
That you are.
right in the middle of it. So the bottom line is that I'm running for office,
Okay.
and I think I make a difference. And I think that the other three people that are running may not have the same background that I have, for sure.
I thought it was interesting how you go to the meetings.
Well, I go to the meetings. I go to the meetings, and that's another thing that I've always said and suggest to anybody interested in running for an office, that's like the county. I mean, the first thing you do when you file for office, first off, you check out your resume to see whether or not you can relate to the office you're running for. That makes common sense to me. And then secondly, I've found through the years that incumbents or anybody sitting in a seat that you're running for are not going to be sharing any information with you. So the only way you can do that is go to the commission meetings while you're running for office.
Okay.
So and I do that, and I try to encourage folks to do that, even the ones that are running now, to go and try to be involved and communicate. Well, you got that public seat that's sitting there. It's 3 minutes. You got a seat there 3 minutes. They meet once a week. And so I take advantage of that three minutes. I mean, basically trying to find out whether or not the issues that I'm relating to are actual issues.
Okay.
You got me? And then another little niche that I've done is, as you can see, I'm donning my Marine Corps gear right here.
Okay.
And I noticed that the county, like in the past that I've been familiar with, many of the areas are still there. And they basically will do a prayer before the meetings, if you will, and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Yeah.
When I noticed that there was one area that I relate to right off the bat as a prime military, the flag aspect of it, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
So I've gotten permission. I take my 3 minutes, and guess what I do? I have everybody stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Okay.
And I'm excited about that, even at this point in time. Before, when I first started, maybe half the crowd would stand, and the others wouldn't. And then slowly but surely, they started all standing, if you will. And that was good. And to me, that's one of the solutions towards this institutional racism thing, see?
Okay.
So people can understand what this country is about, the 13 colonies, this, that, and the other. So it's a pleasure. So now I've been doing that every Wednesday. Every Thursday.
Thursday, right.
Every Thursday at 9:30 at the county commission meeting. You can see me. In fact, you can see me on TV because that's another way to communicate to the public.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean? So
All right,
I'm able to
that's
communicate with the public. I'm letting them know who I am, so to speak. And then the other thing is that if there are areas on the agenda that I want to relate to, then guess what? I dig right up in there, like Wapato. I've been talking about Wapato for years, just sitting right here in my show. And then now that I'm running for office, I got a little bit more background than the commissioners that are sitting there. You got me?
Right.
So I take that 3 minutes now to guess what? To talk about Wapato. And I feel comfortable today. Initially it was just going to be sold. And that was it. It was a done deal. Nobody was going to do it. But I figured I was part and parcel of, as far as I'm concerned, changing some minds. I had some impact. It's kind of like saying I had the 6th seat. There's 4 commissioners and 1 chair. And then the 3 minute slot, I identify that as a C2, see? That's the public.
Oh, okay.
That's the public seat. So I started making an issue of Wapato for the homeless aspect of it. Because the homeless are just there. Nobody has any direction. Everybody's talking about housing for the homeless aspect of it. I'm sitting here and saying, what happened to the American dream? Let's make sure we define when we say housing. Don't take that lightly. You may be looking for shelter. Shelter for a person. You get them off the street and find out who they are and get them back on track again.
That would be nice.
Track. That's the name of the game. And then clean up our city. This was a city of roses, if you will. It was clean and everything else, and all of a sudden now people are just sitting on it. There's no, in all due respect, there's no policy, or there's no ruling, there's no minor infractions where if you throw something on the street or something, if somebody saw you, or you leave something, guess what? That's a misdemeanor. They'll pick you up, take you up, whatever, and clean it up. But they don't do anything now. People don't, they don't do anything with that piece. And so to me, Wapato is a good area. It was built years back, 14 years or so ago, and it was for a jail, and they got into the politics of it. In fact, there was a good article today in the Tribune.
Right.
It sort of gives you a little history of what happened. Dan Sterling was the sheriff at that point in time.
Oh, that.
Yeah, Dan Sterling. Yeah,
Right.
Dan Sterling was the sheriff, and it was good. I knew Dan way back when too. And then Bernie Gusto came in, and then I had shows with Bernie Gusto to kind of transition, and then I'd been sitting at one point in time I was chair of the Infernus jail, so I was right there talking to that issue. And so the mental illness aspect of it, I was very familiar with Damage when it was up there in the Beaverton area.
I've been there.
Of it, and they tore it down, and now you got mental illness. We got a problem. We got a lot of mental illness folks that should not be on the street. they should be taken care of. They should be picked up, if you will, and find out what we can do to help those folks. You got me?
Navigate. That's the new word.
Oh, it's a very serious problem. So we need to. I mean, we don't do our animals. At one point in time, that's what we did with our animals. You know, the stray cats and dogs and whatever. I mean, they were all over the place. And guess what we did? We worked it out. Now all of a sudden we got the Humane Society.
Yeah.
The sheriff department, which is part of the county, got me, picks up the animals and take them to a facility where they give them the shots and clean them up and this, that, and the other, and then put them out for recycling. Anybody wants an animal, you can go up there to.
We had him here on the show.
Yeah.
I was just looking at on the show the other day.
Yeah.
He said we don't ever euthanize.
That's right.
A pet.
Yeah. See, and so my point is that if we did that for the animals, I mean, why can't we do this for human beings? You get my point?
Well, that's.
See what I'm saying? And I mean, and for some strange reason, people don't understand that. You know, and then there's a lot of people, in all due respect, just giving up. I've talked to people on the street.
That's right.
See, and then right up front, being the only male, if I'm elected, I'll be the only male on the commission.
That's right.
You see what I mean? And I can't expect my wife to go out there and try to talk to homeless males, if you will, on the people on the street at night. You know what I mean? To kind of, what's your problem and what's your issues? Mm-hmm. Well, I can do that. I can do it during the day. I wouldn't want to go out during the day. But my point is that that's another reason why I'm saying I've added something to the table, if you will.
That's right.
And so it's a problem, but it's solvable. And now all of a sudden I feel comfortable to say today that the property was sold to a developer to start with, Wally Kehoe, and he bought it for $5 million.
That's right.
A lot of people were disappointed because they left a lot of money on the table, about $50 million on the table. That's how much that building was worth, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah.
Worth more than that, see what I'm saying? But my point is that he got it. He was homegrown. He lives here. And so this has been such an issue downtown, and this, that, and the other. Businessmen got together. There was one guy in there that was focusing on homeless aspect, a guy named Homer Williams.
Homer Williams?
And Don Maserati, who I saw this morning, met for a cup of coffee. But the whole idea is that that's what they were doing, trying to solve our problem here in the city of Portland. And so all of a sudden, this guy, Wally Kehoe, basically sold it to Jordan Snitzer.
Right.
So it's Jordan Snitzer, and again, too, he's a homegrown, right?
Right.
And so guess what he did? He then gave the property, to Herman Homer Williams.
Yeah, to
say, okay,
investigate.
You have to investigate, see whether or not you can go on and put this homeless resolution aspect. So it's good. So then a guy named Tim Hoyle from Columbia Sportswear, he put $1.5 million in the pot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so my point is that, and these are all homegrown folks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a neat idea.
Oh yeah.
See,
right.
So I'm up here talking to them now about the possibility because they're going to need some help. I think the county, as far as I'm concerned, we should be able to pick up a few of those beds and set that aside for any overflows at the county, as opposed to releasing folks. You got me? We got some beds, and then have enough beds for the homeless. I mean, for the mentally ill.
Okay.
So county needs to go on and get a few of those beds and have that available aspect of it. So that's a good thing. You got me?
Okay.
And so I'm up there trying to work with them now, and some of the things on my mind with reference to Wapato, they're having a problem with management, and it's not easy just trying to manage those kinds of folks that
That's
are
right.
on the table. And these are not hard-nosed criminals. You got me? These are folks that are just kind of lost for right now, recycling. So I'm talking to them about the possibility of getting military to manage the whole facility. See, because a lot of guys just want to do work.
That's right, and all this stuff that's happening, that's making values go up so high.
Yeah.
That is part of the problem.
An issue. That's it. Well, the planning, and the permits are issued by the city of Portland.
Yeah.
Okay, and they don't relate to poor people.
Right.
Theirs is just high rise and whatever.
High rise.
And look, there's nothing wrong with high rise, but in the planning process, you got to have somebody from the county when they're sitting at the table to educate them about the fact that they're poor people. There are people out here that live, they're like homeless folks, there's mental illness and folks like that, and we got to compensate for that. You got me? They're senior citizens. That's another major area that the county is responsible for. I'm a senior citizen,
Right.
and so I've got passion for that. and I'm a vet. They also identify with the vets. They've got the only vet program.
Right.
The county does, reaching out to vets and whatever. Well, they don't have anybody on the county right now that does that, okay, that represent that arena.
Okay.
And they don't represent the senior citizen. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, we, when the baby boomers, we're going to have quite an issue with reference to seniors. You know, all of a sudden they're going to be homeless. In fact, a lot of them are just one step from being homeless.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't just totally refinanced their house, and everybody's trying to get their house, right? All kinds of advertising. You know, you got all kinds of deals. You know, get this, and so I want to make sure that if I'm elected, and as far as seniors concerned, I want to put a moratorium. I mean, meaning that I want to stop anything. Anybody that wants to try to get a senior out of a house, they got to check with the county first. You can't sell the house. They can't do this. They can't do that. They can't refinance. And we got to make sure that the deal is right.
There's some rental things to
Yes.
They got to give them notice.
That's right.
So those are worked out.
That's right. So my point is that all I'm saying is that they can still be who they are, but the bottom line, they got to have a check off at the county to make sure that it's not gonna counter their dream of owning a home or living in a home.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So if you got seniors living right in the pathway of a major development aspect of it, well, then you look at that. You know, you said, okay, fine. Well, is there some way you can maybe accommodate a few of those seniors, or can you move over here? A lot of times people don't want to move. They just want to live right there in that house. You got me?
They really do.
They really want to live in that house. You
There's
see what
no
I'm saying?
reason.
So you got to have something within close proximity, where they got other neighbors, if you will, maybe other seniors to live. Maybe it might be a certain segment of housing within one of those high rises, if you will, just for seniors on the first floor.
Yeah.
You got my point? So and then the other thing I want to do is, and that's I'm doing it now, like we're doing, is that we need to educate people about the fact you may not be a senior now, but you will be.
That's right.
And you've got to look at that, and that's not in the mindset of a person that hasn't gotten to be a senior. It's like senior citizen, like there's some extract figure, just get rid of them. You know, just give me the money, get rid of them. Well, you know, that sticks with me, if you will. And because I happen to be a guy that, you know, pretty straight up kind of a guy and familiar. And I said, well, gee whiz, they need to talk about that. I'm going to be at the table. So when they start talking about housing and whatever, I mean, I built a senior citizen complex, my wife and I, 38 units, low income senior citizen housing. I did that. So I went through that process. I provide housing, if you will, low income housing for folks. Well, we had a program when property was great, was cheap, if you will.
Yeah, right.
To get to ownership, we identified first month, last month, and cleaned the property. That was the down payment to get in the house. So it didn't change anything, you see. But now they're in home ownership. You see what I'm saying? And so that's something that's is a problem. But with the county now, for all foreclosed property goes to the county, and they auction them off to developers. My mindset is that no, we don't want to auction nothing off. We want to use it for training or this, that, and the other. We want to keep it and then sell it, maybe to seniors. Okay. Maybe to low-income folks. You got my point?
All right.
But the idea is that because the developer's not going to do anything but flip it, right? But I know that's business, and I understand that. But if we got problems with housing, we got to go to areas where we can pick them up, if that's what I'm supposed to relate to, right? Okay. So that housing piece. So that's why I'm saying that. Now, a good, for instance, downtown, at one of the meetings, again, the person who represents the real estate was saying, "Hey, look, we're going to sell the courthouse building because we're going to build a new one." Yeah. Yeah, build a new one. So the guy comes in, so they started asking him questions about, well, how much is it worth? And, well, I don't know.
That's right.
Well, when are you going to put this? I don't know this. Well, I got to give it to this guy. He's going to tell us. But then, okay, then once they go through that, they hit the gavel, and then the next thing you know, it's gone. And some developer comes in, tears it down, puts a high rise, right? You got me?
That could be what would happen.
And then I'm sitting there and saying, wait a minute, something don't make sense here. Why don't we do it this way? If we're talking about housing, what we can do right there, downtown aspect of it, why not build the high rise? Let's do low income housing in there, or senior citizen housing, and put retail at the bottom.
Well, yeah.
So you put retail, if you want to take two floors. You got me? But you got to have elevators here for seniors and whatever. But the whole idea is that that's income. Mm-hmm. So one guy said, well, gee whiz, Bruce, there was part of the discussion, and I'm going back and forth now with the guy who was talking this. He said, well, Bruce, you got to understand there's problem with seismetics, all that kind of stuff about this and that, whatever. I said, well, tell me this then. Why would a developer buy something for nothing he's making money. I mean, we got to look at it that way.
Okay.
You get me? So as far as I'm concerned, why can't we lease the property and make money? Therefore, we don't have to worry about taxing the taxpayer so much.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So these are some ideas that I'm bringing up to the table as a result of my involvement in things that I've done over the 40 years that I've done. Because see, to me, when you look at a problem and you need low-income housing, you don't want to throw the housing you already have out. I want to control that up to a certain point. They're talking about trying to create more jobs for some of the young people, if you will, and things like that. And that's one of the things that I'm interested in, because Loretta Smith, when she's been doing something with young people in the summer and whatever. Well, you got young men and women aspect of it. We got trades. You got me? So we'll do a trade. We'll get those folks through the apprenticeship and go through the public schools. Put voc ed back in the schools, because we don't have that in the Portland public schools. I was very familiar with that piece. And so that's kind of like what I was going to be doing, if you will, with the trades. You know, teach trades, you know, home ec, all that kind of stuff. Get that in school, in the schools, you got me? And also maybe, just a thought, you know, we've got a community college thing that we always go, and a lot of kids are graduating, then they're shifted right over to community college, right, to get a GED. Well, as far as I'm concerned, why don't we incorporate that in the 12-year, the so-called K1 to K12, and say, let's say, okay, fine, when you graduate from high school, you got an associate degree. See?
Really?
Yeah, you'd have an associate degree.
Well,
And in that way, you got blue collar, got me? You got a blue collar. If you want to go to college and get the white collar, you can go. But the majority of the people in that blue collar area.
okay, now here's what I thought it was. Grade school, and then 4 years high school, you graduate from that.
Okay.
Then, if you wanted to, you went and took 2 years of the college.
Right. Community college.
Community college.
Yeah.
And there's some way that could apply on, say, going to Portland State.
It does. It does now.
Okay,
See,
that's my impression.
right. See, right now, though, but what happens a lot of times, a lot of kids are not young men now, young men and women, they really don't graduate from high school. Because without that voc ed to kind of get them motivated to really learn, to really graduate, they then go basically finish their high school in community college.
Okay.
They get subsidized, if you will. You got me?
Right.
So my
right.
point is that get it into the system.
Okay.
You got voc ed, right? Voc ed. You started out with voc ed now. Now you got the community college. You can pretty well put voc ed. You could put the present system that we have now, 12 years, right? 12 years, and the community college in a 12-year span. Put them both together.
Okay.
Put them both together. Now we got a productive individual. See what I'm saying? They can work part-time and go to college and got the money because they got a blue collar. They've got a license. They might be a plumber. They might be a carpenter.
They work during the day.
They can work during the day and go to school at night.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? And then get a degree if that's what they want to do. But you'll be surprised the kind of money that a lot of times you're working as a blue collar, you'll be making more money than the person with the white collar.
Well, they're needed.
You know what I'm saying? They're very much needed.
They're very right.
So I'm saying a lot of things, but what I'm saying is I'm speaking from a 40-year involvement kind of a guy. You know,
Well, sure.
I've been there. I've done this. I worked for IBM. I worked for the U.S. Bank. I've got banking background skills and whatever. And I'm kind of like a blue collar guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I've owned businesses. My wife and I owned businesses before. We've employed people. I know how to read a spreadsheet. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I'm not trying to say I know everything in the world, but I'm still saying that those are the kinds of things that we need today. We need leadership.
Right.
And I just happen to got that. And so I'm just, because we're all creatures of our exposure, right?
Okay.
So I'm just saying, well, hey, look, this is the county. This is what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm saying, look, I think I've been exposed to a number of the things that they're trying to get from, see?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could be very effective as a county commissioner for District Number 2.
Okay.
And I feel very good about that piece aspect of it. I'm a vet, right? We got a veteran program right now.
Yeah.
A veteran program right now that really doesn't do the outreach that it should be reaching. We got the VA sitting there, you know, under one roof, and we got an organization right now that I've been doing. I was doing before I even filed for office, and that was there's no veteran left behind. Where I've basically been going around and trying to get folks, get military guys, make them aware. That's why I wear the garb, if you will.
Yeah.
The military, to let people know that I'm a veteran, and they say thanks for it. And then I'll ask the vet, Do you have your benefits? Have you gotten your benefits? And they say, well, no, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't like the system. Well, come on, let's go.
Do people ever ask you just because of your...
Yep, just that. Yep.
Wow.
Just for that.
Okay.
You'd be surprised what this uniform does. They say, thanks for serving. You know?
Okay.
But I take it the second tier. I say, hey, are you military? He said, well, no. I said, well, if you are military, then this is what you need to do.
Okay.
This way you go over there to do that.
That's
If
right.
you don't know, call this number, 1-800 number. If not, call my number. And we'll take it by steps. I'll meet you down there.
Okay.
I'll take you through the steps. And because it's there. And,
You will do that. I know
yeah, I
that.
will. I'll do that. And so that's a good thing. That's a good asset. So I'm going to be taking that to the county.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be working with them. In fact, what they started out with, they had when everybody started kind of like, let's reach out to veterans, everybody was great. But now it's kind of like slowing down a bit, see? And they had a system over at the county, and they had a young man that was there, but he was military, military.
Huh.
Well, guess what they did? They promoted him out.
Really?
Yep, and they got a young lady. I'm not knocking any young lady, but no military. They had to have some. They could have hired someone, a young lady, a woman, if you will, that was military, but they didn't. So consequently, she has problems communicating with vets, and don't know why she has the problem. Because in all due respect, that's one of the things we have problem with PTSD. Most of these guys, men and women both, you'd be surprised, they want to talk to another vet, okay?
That's right.
And that's why the VA is so important. That's why the VA is hiring everybody within their facilities, aspect of it. And, so I mean, my point, I bring that to the table. I'm not trying to discriminate or nothing this day. I'm just saying, if you got a problem to solve, let's do it. Let's not just keep talking about it, you got me? Or just keep giving money, blah, 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 whatever. We got taxpayers out there. Taxes are going up. Every time we turn around, it's just that, like Wapato. I mean, that $50 million on the table, and then we all recognize that the city, I mean, it's just population that's going on and on and on. We're going to have more issues. We're going to be short of beds. So then let's build another Wapato. Now, wait a minute. That's more money, right?
Right.
We don't have to do that.
Fred Stewart.
Yeah, Fred.
It's been on your program.
Yeah.
And he's been here.
Yep.
I think he's running for office. Or
No, he's not running.
Not this time.
He ran once, yeah.
Okay, when he was on our show,
Yeah.
he talked about how the bond issues
Yeah.
were so expensive
Oh, yeah.
that they were going to cause people to leave their homes.
Yep.
Some of them to leave their homes.
It's
because-
happening now. And then they're saying they're short of money. What they thought they was going to do with the money, all of a sudden. See, my point is that they had folks who were involved in the school bonding issue. That in most cases, they couldn't communicate with the developer.
That's probably right.
So consequently, they missed those I's. They couldn't dot those I's and cross those T's. You got to have a developer type kind of a mindset. You got me? And that's what I'm saying over here with my sitting on the county aspect of it. I'm going to be talking about this area. And now we have we have the commissioner. We got the labor commissioner coming in the house. His name is Lou Ogden. I remember Lou when I was.
Make some room.
Yeah, we got to get this chair for Lou. This is community television, Lou. So just make yourself at home, okay? Oh, yeah, we got over here. Get Lou. We're gonna put Lou right in the middle of us here. And then I'm going to stop talking about my campaign, and we're going to give Lou the time because there's a lot of things we want to.
How are you?
We want to talk to Lou.
Richard Carpenter. Richard, good to meet you.
And Lou and I, we kind of go back a ways. I was at Metro there for quite some time, working for USA Waste.
That's right.
And now was Waste Management as a recycler aspect of it. And Lou was very, very active over there, and I know he's a very active person where he's at. Community, public service for days.
Well, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
Just following in your footsteps.
Oh, hey, Lou. No, hey.
Trying to keep up with you.
You mentored me. Now we mentoring one another.
That's right.
How's that? Okay.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you're running to be running for the labor commissioner.
Yep.
Right up there front. I've been seeing some of the ads in your
Yeah.
team. Those are great.
Thank you.
There's a really
Yeah.
great aspect of it. I think they'd really be getting a good person.
Well, thank you
in
for
that
saying that.
position. Really, really are. Really,
Thank you for saying that.
because you've been very active. And you weren't just a one in it because a mayorship. You're running all over the place. You're doing that and a number of jobs. So
Yeah.
it takes a good person with a good background.
Well, and we've been doing it for a long time, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Trying to build community all
Yes,
over the area.
So, Lou, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's very important.
Yeah.
Very
We
important.
just happened to have his
That's one. Did you bring something? You got any brochures or anything?
I've got them in the car. I didn't.
You know, we need to have a brochure. You got a sign or something?
Yeah.
Go bring something anyway.
Okay, I'll go out and get them. Come right
You got
back.
to do it. Why not? We got about 30. We got about 25 more minutes. You
Okay,
want to
we
do
go
that
do
quick?
that. Yeah.
Then let me
As long
take
as
this
he's
off.
not hooked up.
That's it. We hook up. But we're gonna make it right for you. We're gonna do it right. It's important to let people know.
Yeah,
Because we're gonna be playing this stuff on YouTube again.
Yeah.
You just take this with you.
Take
Run
it.
there
I'll
and
be
get
right
that
back.
stuff and bring it right back, buddy, so we can see yours.
Okay.
And we'll put that up. We'll take mine off.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go. Okay, Lou.
That's the least we can do.
Yes, we're gonna do
Very
that.
kind of you.
Yeah. Bring the brochure so we can read off of that stuff.
All right. Real good.
And I'll talk about you until you get back.
talk about me.
Okay. All right. Hold it right there. He
Is
closed
there
it.
particular
He
issues
closed the
that,
door. He closed the door.
you think we'll be talking about?
Yeah.
with him?
Well, actually, we want to get a feel for what he brings to the table for the Bureau of Labor.
Okay.
You got me?
Okay.
For jobs, things of that nature, and where does he feel that is? I got to go open that door. I got to open that door because it's locked. We locked that door.
Oh, you think he locked it?
Yeah, you do.
What? Oh, so we have to.
I got to do that. I'm gonna do that right
Open
now.
the door.
I'll do it. I'll get it. This is community television. Start talking, Rich.
Yeah. We're okay. I'm still overwhelmed by all the things you've got listed down here.
Well, I think we got some good people running for office now. We're fortunate here in Oregon that we can do that. And the city is changing, and well, we got between the city of Portland, the city council races, and the county. I'm excited. I think we might get back to the city
there's
of roses.
quite a bit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lou here, he's kind of like within the area here. Lou Ogden, he's here. He's been a mayor for quite some time, and
Is he in the same kind of race as?
no, he's labor commissioner.
Right. So
That's
that's
statewide. That's
it.
statewide. Yeah, that's it. Statewide. Okay. Yeah, statewide. He's kind of like in the whole issue of the labor force. The apprenticeship program and the trades and
So
all that kind of.
whoever wins the Republican side is going to go against Kate Brown.
Yeah, no. That's
So
that's the governor.
That's an example.
But his is just winner takes all here.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? You
Okay.
got me? So winner takes all. So he's got to win this deal on the front end.
Okay.
So I think he's a Republican. I think that's the way it works. We'll ask him point blank. But I think whoever gets the majority becomes the commissioner. I think that's the way it works. I don't think he has any other candidates running against him or vice versa with the woman that's running on it. But it is a Republican and a Democratic kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where we'll get a better feel when Lou gets back to the table here with us.
Well,
aspect of
certainly with all this going on, and city council and all that.
Yes. So
Certainly.
but we really need because the apprenticeship program is huge. That is that labor force aspect of it. If anything happens, like remember the deal with the cake aspect of it when the bakery didn't want to bake this one particular cake for these two people. Well,
cupcakes.
that was one of the things that they got very much involved in. The president, in fact, the present commissioner today was the guy that basically put that piece on the table.
I don't even know if it's still resolved.
Yeah,
Seems like
it's
they always
still-
want to
Well,
appeal.
Yep.
I don't know.
But it's an issue because we got different kind of tribes running around nowadays.
Well,
That's another issue aspect of it. But I think Lou is going to bring some very positive things to the table. I would love to have had the woman person on the other side to come on. We can interview her. We still have enough time. I can do it on my show Sunday.
Okay.
But we've always invited anybody and everybody want to come. Lou gave me a call, and then I said, "Well, hey, look, yes, come on board." He called.
Well, that's good.
He heard about us, and
Have somebody call you.
oh yeah, he called us and said, "Bruce," I said, "Look," I said, "I'll talk to you about it, and everything was fine." So, but we've always asked anybody that wanted to come on. Some folks didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
We had other candidates that come on, and I've had some on my show, Voters Digest, and then I happen to be a candidate, but we put that disclaimer right at the front of the deal.
Can't believe you're the only male in the whole to do with the county board.
Yeah.
That's
And I
crazy.
think that's an issue. That doesn't say too well a lot of times. Because we do have this issue. Come on, Lou, you got your deal.
Have any signs in the car.
Oh, you did? Bring the banner. Bring the banner. We'll put it out there.
Okay.
We'll put it out there. Like I said, this is community television.
That's right.
Okay. This
I don't know if there's a place to pin it
Okay.
to the curtain. Or?
Well, why don't we just take it out and then we'll just kind of put it up across the board right here with us.
All my
Okay.
signs are out of my car. They gave them away.
Okay.
We got more.
Well, you want to see a
We got
sign.
about 6,000 signs around
Oh,
the
is that
state
right?
of Oregon.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well, we're fortunate to have you, Lou.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
I know I've been
fortunate to be here.
insistent. Okay, there you go. And let's just pull that on the side there. Yeah, let's go there. Yes, there you go. There you go,
Here
Lou.
it is.
There you go, Lou. Why don't you we'll put yeah, okay, we'll get there it is right there. You got this one? Can you there you go, yes, there it is right there. There's it, Lou Ogden, Commissioner, Bureau of Labor and Industry.
How about that?
There it is. Now we're gonna set this aside and you're gonna meet the man.
All right.
Come on, Lou.
All right.
Come on, right up in here. I'll roll this up. We'll hook you up, and we'll get you right back here, and we'll wrap that up when we get through. But I want to make sure we take the rest of this 20 minutes just talking about you. Okay, we'll get that done.
That's my number.
Let me get the mic on there for you. There you go. Give me that, Lou. All right, I'll get this, and we'll get you squared away, buddy.
Yeah, those are tricky.
How's that? See,
Are we on?
good.
job, all right.
Good. Okay, good.
Here, why don't
Okay,
you
Lou.
line these up over there.
Yeah. Let me get these this way.
Yeah.
And then look at yeah, we get it. There we go.
That's it.
There we go. We got it.
Right next to Bruce.
There you
Look
go,
at
right
that.
there. There you go. Got that Marine in there. See, I want to make sure I get that uniform in there because he knew me when I was that way. Okay. All right. Can you see that one? Can you put that one on the screen? Okay, good. He's gonna fix it up.
Awesome.
There
All right,
might
Lou.
be an issue that you're going to face
Yes, right.
as soon as you're sworn in, right?
A lot of them.
What would that be? What's
Well,
an example?
You know, there are several things that are important. The most important thing to me about the Bureau of Labor and Industries is workforce development
Okay.
and closing the skills gap.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
we've got about 150,000 people in Oregon that are unemployed, even with a
Wow.
4% unemployment rate.
They had
150
given up, some of them, right?
Most of them, yeah. And then we got thousands more that have jobs, but they don't pay very well. And you know, we've got 150,000 jobs that are open that employers can't fill because they don't have the people with the right skills. We have 150,000 people unemployed. We got 150,000 open jobs. All we can do is connect those two together, right?
Wow.
And those jobs all of them don't require engineering PhD degrees. They require people with some basic skills that we
Right.
can learn at community colleges or trade schools
Yeah.
or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah, right.
But where we are broke down is we don't have those connections to those jobs in our schools,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
See, when you and I were
Right.
kids,
Bouquet,
we had
bouquet.
we had
That's right.
shop class,
That's right, exactly.
vocation ed, whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
and you could learn a vocation.
Yes.
And as a student, you knew what it was like to work in a machine shop or an automotive mechanics
Right.
or in a hospital setting,
Right.
in medical field, whatever. You knew what it was like because you had exposure to it. The tools and today we don't do that.
Wow.
And so we need to get that back in our schools, and then we need to get our kids from the schools into the workplace
Yes.
while they're still in school.
Yes.
High school kids.
Yes.
So that they know what it's like to go out into a shop
Yes.
or to go out into a construction site
Right.
or go into a hospital or a printing press or an accounting office or whatever and have experience. Pay these kids to be interns and to learn the job. And then when they get, because now when they graduate from high school, it's now what? So many of them don't know.
A question about grade school.
Yeah.
Our grade school, when I went through, had home economics for girls. Actually, it was
Yeah.
carpentry for boys.
Yeah.
Do they still have that in grade
No,
school?
no. Portland Public Schools is the largest school district we have, and they don't have it.
No.
See, and then that's why we have a
That's
lot of problems
unfortunate.
That's right.
with our young men.
That's
You got my
right.
point? Give them something to do that can relate, if you will, to the book, because it's like auto mechanic. You know, auto mechanic. You got to read in order to be able to basically tune it up and all this, that, and the other.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, gee, I'm motivated now to really read.
That's
So now you
right.
got comprehension.
That's right.
And then now all of a sudden we'll be able to cut into those so-called gangs. They're not gangs.
No.
These are young men with all this stuff and women.
Right.
We got to get them back in society.
That's exactly
'Cause
right.
That's our future, right? Lou?
That's exactly right. And it does two things. It does three things. It eliminates the need for people to have financial assistance because they're taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
So that frees up more public money for infrastructure and other investments. It makes business have the opportunity to expand because they need more skilled workforce in order to fill those jobs and grow and so on. But you know what the most important thing it does to the individual? Gives them self-esteem.
Yes.
Gives them dignity.
Very much so.
That they now, instead of having to depend on somebody,
Right.
they've got the pride
Right.
of taking care of their family and providing a future for their own kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's how you break that cycle.
Good.
And so, yeah, we need to have those classes in school, but we also need to get kids out of the schools into the workplace while they're in school. And they get credit for it. They can get high school credit for it. They can get the opportunity then, as you said, come back into the classroom the next day. And if they're in a machine shop where they're having to lay out, several different pieces to be cut out of a piece of metal, they understand why you need to know A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
That's right.
It
That's
makes
right.
sense.
Yes.
It's interweaving the
That's right.
education
That's right.
with the application.
That's right.
So that's what skills development.
So how does the Bureau of Labor do that? How do you get in a position where you can actually make change
That's a
along
great
that line?
question.
Okay.
Because we don't run the schools.
Right.
Bureau of Labor doesn't run the schools.
Right.
But it does run apprenticeship programs.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
It's in charge of certifying the apprenticeship programs. And we need to do a better job of having industry involved in what those apprenticeship programs look like. So the Bureau of Labor and Industries, it's labor and it's industries. So the labor part is a skills training. I'll tell you a story. I met a gentleman, it's been a month ago now. His name is Tom Brown, Clackamas County Community College. And they were having a kind of a job fair there, and I was talking to him. He has a program at his school where you can learn a computer numerically controlled machining.
Right.
Okay, CNC machining. 18-month program. After 18 months, you come out, you're certified, you get an awfully good job doing CNC machining and programming. And that's great. But he went out into the businesses and industry in his neighborhood there in Clackamas County, and they told him, we need that. But we also need people just the basic skills to run the CNC machines. They don't have to do all the programming and layout design, just be able to run them. So the industry guys put together a class for Tom Brown to teach the materials. He put the class together. They gave him the materials, what information they needed people to learn in one term, 12 weeks, not 18 months, 12 weeks. He graduated his first class, and every one of those people have jobs.
Yeah, right.
And Bruce, they range from age 16, which is high school.
Yes.
They're not in community college.
Right.
To 60.
Wow.
Which is almost our age.
Yeah, right.
Of folks who didn't have skills like that before. In 12 weeks,
Wow.
they go from being unemployed,
Wow.
probably chronically unemployed,
Right.
to having a skill and a job
Wow.
that pays way more than minimum wage.
Oh.
So if we can do that in 12 weeks, think of what we can do. If we can coordinate through the Bureau of Labor and Industries, we can coordinate industry like he did with the schools like community college. And then, again, we talked about high school. And there's so much more you can do. It can be done in the workplace.
Right.
You mentioned apprenticeship programs.
Oh, yeah. In fact, that was one of the concerns I've had because, like you, we've been around quite a bit. Politics always gets involved in the deal.
Yeah.
When we came up with the so-called minority program aspect of it,
Right.
then all of a sudden it was kind of big a fusion like a pre-apprentice.
Yeah.
See, there's no such thing as pre-apprentice. It's
Right.
apprenticeship or not. You see what I'm saying? You got me? And then, in all due respect, it's been a failure.
Right.
It's been a failure, and then people get frustrated. You got me? And they get out of the program, and then we're still stuck from a businessman's standpoint. Well, gee whiz, you're not qualified.
Right.
And
Exactly.
this, that, and the other. See, but the apprenticeship program, they've got it's regimented, bang, bang, bang. And that's one I was thinking I was going to throw out on the table. They need to get out of that piece. That's the only way we can help those so-called poor areas, and we've taken advantage of that too much. Your concept from the standpoint of basically getting the apprenticeship, like you said, getting the employee involved, because we got a lot of the trades.
That's right.
You got me? And and when I'm thinking about that also too, we've got, because of that incarceration rate aspect of it, we got the criminal justice system.
That's right.
I'm going down there again. These people, the idea is when they're supposed to do the crime, they do the time, they get out, but they too need to be productive. They need
That's
to
right.
be recycled.
That's
You know
right.
my point?
That's
But
right.
again, another beautiful opportunity, if you
Yeah.
will, to
Yeah.
get them, because they lost the deal. We can't afford, if you will, to just keep recidivism and this, that, and the other, right?
The most critical need, the business tells me, across the board, is human resource.
Yes, yes.
And every person who is not able to have productive skills hurts them,
Yes.
but it hurts the entire society.
Yes.
Because if we don't have everybody rowing the boat,
Right, right.
the boat doesn't move very
Exactly,
well.
exactly.
And if someone can't row the boat because they don't know how to row,
Right.
we got to teach them how to row.
Right.
Because they want to be in that seat.
Exactly.
They want to be pulling.
Exactly.
But if they don't know, if they're not given an oar, they're not given a seat at the boat, then what are they going to do?
Right.
Then they get in trouble.
Right.
They get lost.
Right.
They get chronically
Exactly.
unemployed.
Exactly.
If they're unemployed, then sometimes they get into drugs and all kinds of
Right,
things.
right, exactly.
Then they get in that downward spiral.
Right.
They can't get out even
Right.
if they want
Exactly.
to.
Exactly. And we got to do something.
That's right.
You got me. Well, Lou, you got that background to do it because you've been involved and you understand the political process, which is always the thing that stops it, because there's the money that comes
That's
with
right.
the deal, and then,
That's right.
and there's the people that wants to lead an aspect of it, and I guess that's going to be very, very important. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to, like I say, when you called me, I said, hey, you got to come down because I know your background.
Yeah.
And I know your track record.
Yeah.
You got my point?
Yeah.
And I've been very much involved in the unions and the trades and this, that, and the other. And everybody's trying to eat.
That's right.
And everybody's trying to lead.
Yeah.
So they're going to need a leader.
Yeah.
And you are a leader.
Well,
and that's important.
we know
That's
where we're
important.
going, you
Yeah,
know?
we know where we're going. And like I said, we say this even on the show. Everything. We say, look here, if you want to come, we're open. You know what I mean? And I have tried to call the other opponent, but
Sure.
he didn't respond. He didn't
Okay,
respond.
well.
So that's their business.
Yeah.
But I knew who you were when you called, and everything was good. So what other things did you want to stress about this particular job that you think would be innovative and creative and getting the job done?
Right. So like I said, the big issue is on the labor side. But what about on the business side?
Okay.
A lot of businesses tell me that currently the Bureau of Labor and Industry is really not a partner to business. They focus too much on bureaucracy, on compliance and reporting. And I'll give you an example. We got a company in Tualatin I visited, it's been several months ago now. There was a new law went into place at the last legislative session requiring paid sick leave.
Right.
Okay? That's important.
Right.
People are sick, they shouldn't lose their job.
Right.
Well, this company's been doing it for years. In fact, they're an employee-owned company, so they've got all kinds of great benefits. But paid sick leave is a big part of it. Under the new regulations, they had to totally redo their payroll and their reporting process to prove to BOLI that they were in compliance with their paid time off, when they've been doing it for years. So, and that costs them a lot of money, and it costs them time every month to do all the reporting and so on. You know what it's like dealing with government paperwork.
Oh yeah.
So the question is, why do they have to have that kind of compliance reporting when they were already doing it themselves? Can't they use their existing payroll records and somehow turn that in, I don't know, twice a year or something, rather than all the quarterly reporting that they have to do?
Right.
Because rules and regulations need to focus on the people that are not participating, not performing. You go down the highway and the speed limit says 65 miles an hour. So they don't make everybody get a clock and go every 5 miles and clock in, and every 5 miles and clock in, and prove they're going 65 miles an hour. But they do occasional patrol. If you're going 75, then they catch you. So we need to make the Bureau of Labor more responsive to industry needs. So the laws are important, and they're good laws, but how you implement them is really important. So we need to have business be part of that conversation, and the labor unions as well, because they have a lot at stake, making sure their employees are protected. There are some employers that don't take care of their employees very well. We got to have make sure that we're on top of them, riding herd on those guys. But in today's economy, when unemployment is so low, 4%, it's hard to get people. Employers, if they treat them poorly, they go somewhere else. So we need to be a better business partner.
Mm-hmm. You know, one thing I want to share, and the public within this area, we got a shocker, you know, some time ago with reference to this whole issue about forcing a small business to basically respond to a business. It was a cake deal.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that took a lot of time. It took a lot of things out of the Bureau of Labor.
That's
You
right.
got my point?
Yeah.
And a lot of folks felt that it should have been handled a little different. It was so political.
Yeah.
And I know the gentleman that's there now, aspect of it, but there's so much pressure. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, that's why I wanted to chat with you, because you have to know this area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're dealing with all kinds of folks.
Yeah.
And it takes the right person to do that.
Well, yeah.
And I'm just thinking that if you been sitting at that table, we'd still get a very an equitable result, because that is a business. You
right.
want to keep the business in place.
That's right.
Because if you eliminate the business, guess what? Now you got really problems.
Today they're out of business. They're out of business because the fine was $135,000. Put that in perspective. Class 3 felony rape.
Jesus.
Class 3 felony rape.
Yes.
In the state of Oregon, I think you can fact check this, has a maximum fine of $125,000.
Oh my God.
So maximum fine for rape is $125,000. The minimum fine for not baking a wedding cake is $135,000,
That's right.
and puts them out of business. Does that make sense?
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
But like I said, we got so much politics here in this area, as you know. Even when I'm running for county, the same thing, so to speak.
Oh,
But you got to be able to deal with the issue.
That's right.
And because you're looking at both sides of the deal. You got my point?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that's been. I wanted to make sure that they understood you knew this.
Well,
and
fairness and balance
Yes.
is the important thing. Fairness
Yeah.
and balance.
Yes.
And predictability. It's
Yes.
got to treat everybody
Yes.
fairly the same way. You can't
Yes.
show favoritism.
Exactly.
And also you can't show meanness against
Right.
the business just because you don't like
Right,
them.
right. Well, do us a favor. We got about 2 minutes. Tell the people how can they get involved with your campaign.
Oh, yeah.
You
Well, thank you for that question.
got a phone number there? You got a phone number you want?
Phone number is 503-692-0163. It's in the voters pamphlet.
It's in the
I'm
voters
the
pamphlet.
only person in the voters pamphlet puts their phone number.
You gotta be kidding me, really?
My home
I
phone
got
number.
mine
I mean,
up there. I got
not my
mine.
home. I only got one phone.
I
My
got
cell
mine.
phone is in the voters
In
pamphlet.
the voter panel. Awesome.
So, right
Awesome.
now,
That's a
and
good one.
I get people calling me every day.
That's a good one. That's a good
My website is
Yes.
www.vote for Lou Ogden.
Okay.
With the number 4.
Okay.
Number 4.
That's what I want you to do. Is I want you to vote for Lou Ogden. So that's my
VOTE number 4 LOUOGDEN.com.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Then there's a Facebook too.
Yep,
You got
and there's
that.
the phone number.
You got the phone number 503-692-0163.
And
Okay.
Facebook is Vote for Lou Ogden. Yeah.
Okay. So you got the whole
And that's
deal
not
right there.
some phony phone. That's
I
the
did it,
only
yeah.
one I got.
Well, I tell you, it's strong. You got the whole deal. You got your logo there. I'm basically the same deal. I did the same thing, Lou. I did the same thing. There's my
Look at
front
you.
piece right there,
Yep.
and there's my
Yep.
resume.
Yep. How's the race going?
Oh, it's going good. It's going
Good.
good. And this is, I did housing and
So if
stuff like
anybody
that.
knows the job in the county, it's you.
Oh yes, sir. That's
I mean,
why. That's
you've
why.
been around this county for a long time.
And we'd be working very closely together too.
Yep.
By the way,
Yep.
on the
Yep.
apprenticeship, the whole works.
Yeah.
I've
He
been through
knows
the whole
it better than
construction.
the commissioner.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll mentor them.
That's right. That's right.
No, we need to mentor all of us. I mean,
Okay,
we
now
got a neat
we
state.
are out of time.
Are we out of
Now,
time? Now? We're about
I've
1
gotta
minute.
Thank
Go
our
on.
crew for making this possible and making a special effort tonight to come
Yeah,
and
thank you.
do this show.
Thank you.
And of course, we thank you for coming
My
here.
pleasure.
Okay, Lou,
But,
it's gonna be good.
we-
I'm gonna
we are-
invite you on another
we
show
are-
anyway.
Thank you. Bring me back.
Good, good.
Thank you for watching.
Okay.